I was invited to partake in a budget build. We are taking Power Wheels and turning them into basically go-karts. Like, obviously, I don't have the steering set up yet. This is like the first mock-up. I want to see if I fit in it and what I'm going to be able to kind of do. This part is going to be a problem because I got the motor right here. I got to figure out how I'm going to get this leg situated. So it's possible. Just got to do a little more work to it. So right now I'm just trying to get myself to be able to fit in this contraption and not step all over the carburetor. Because right now that's what I want to do. So started making footsteps for it. Decided that maybe I should just get myself a seat first. The seat I'm going to sit up higher. So I'm thinking I should probably get myself centered up before I try making footsteps. So So if the seat is going to work, I'm going to have to move the mounting plates and everything back quite a ways because it sits 6 inches or so too far forward. So if I want to use the seat, I'll have to move it backwards to here, which might not be an issue. And I'm going to use the old footsteps off of the quad to try to make them in there so I can step on those instead of stepping on the motor. It might be slightly uncomfortable, but I think we're getting somewhere. When I cut this footrest all up, I was being stupid about it. I cut it too much. Now I got a bunch of little bits and pieces here. Basically, I'm going to move the footrest from the bottom of the frame to the top of the frame. Hopefully this works. I had to remove that much from it. I got a bunch of welding to do now. Yeah, I'm really realizing I prefer woodworking because it's a lot faster than metalwork. Metalwork is just slow. But let's just start welding. Again, so I'm trimming up the body for what hopefully is the last time. I got the foot pedals things installed, the foot rests installed. So I got to get the body where I want it so then I can get my seat and everything all where I want, because next up is I got to cut and get my steering controls all where they want to be, and I need to make sure that I'm sitting comfortably before I rig those up. So we're going to get this body on. I gotta mess with the seat and just kind of play with some things to see what makes it comfortable. So you may or may not have noticed that earlier I cut the back handle portion of this off and I shrank it in a little bit so that the body would fit on it and it would work really nice. But what I really realized is I need something a little wider here to really stabilize the body. So I'm just I got the square 2-inch tubing. I'm going to weld that to the back. And then what that'll do is it'll allow the body to have right here and right here, almost like a covered bumper. But that should make things a little more easier for me to get in and out. So glad I cut it, then re-welded it back on to cut it back off to weld this on. So I've got the seat moved all the way back up to the actual top of the back side of this, and it actually sits a lot better with me being a little bit taller. Am I worried about being too tall, being top heavy? Yes. Is that much I can do about it? Maybe. I could be a little more uncomfortable, but being a little higher, my knees won't be inside my chest. I'll be able to breathe a little easier. So what I got to do now is I got to make some slots right here so that the little tabs on these seats can slide in here. I'm going to use the Dremel to hopefully have that work beautifully. I got to use something different. That ain't working. The seat is in, so now I need to extend this back roll bar that I had to cut off because I'm too fat for it. So I just got to extend this thing a couple of inches out back here. I'll tack weld those back on for right now. So I just need to cut this metal with a 3/4 inch conduit. Just one thing after another with this thing. I'm gonna add 3 inches to it. I feel let's go. We'll add 2.5 inches, 2.5 inches to the back of it. See how that looks. Next up is exhaust. So currently the way the exhaust should go on is like this, and sit down in here. That doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the original exhaust. I want to cut it by the flange, shrink it down, and then cut it up by the muffler and extend it. I want it to kind of come out over here. Something like along those lines-ish. So cut, weld. The same thing I've just been doing this whole time. It's just cut, weld, cut it back off, re-weld it. Do all the same thing. Since I don't want to weld this thing while it's in there, it can be a little tight. What I did was I dropped the flange in to where I wanted it, and then I lined up where this elbow was going to have to go, and what I did was I just drew with a Sharpie to get it lined up so I'll know where to put it back to, and now I can actually weld it. I'll tack weld it together, then tack weld the muffler extender on. Alright, so the exhaust is mocked in, needs a little more welding. I may have to run a hanger on there. We will see, hopefully not. Now I need to move on to actually mounting the body on. What I'm going to do in the back is I'm just basically going to sink 2 bolts through that 2-inch square tubing that I did there. I'm going to weld the nuts from underneath, that way that I can just in and out, up, down. I don't have to worry about a nut and a bolt. We're good there. The front over here, you can see I have a hole there and a hole on the other side. What I'm going to do is weld a plate down back up over the strut towers and sink a bolt and then bolt that down. So I'll have 2 bolts back there, 2 bolts there, and maybe have to add some in the fenders. I'm not sure yet. So yesterday I mocked everything into place. I have the gas tank just sitting here. I put on the handlebars and I took it for its first test drive, and it did terrible. I didn't move at all. Show you the footage right here. I didn't move. Clutch got really hot. I didn't know what was going on. I thought maybe I had a bad clutch. I started doing some research. I started talking to a few people, and it sounds like my ratio, my sprocket ratio is off, my gear ratio. So basically I need a bigger sprocket is what it sounds like. I got the new clutch coming, I got the new sprocket coming. I still got to mount the gas tank, I still got to do some steering controls and stuff like that, but I wanted to make sure this thing actually runs and functions before I go and start going crazy. So right now I got to cut out this entire front face of the dash to allow the steering to come through. So while I wait for parts to come in, I want to continue forward motion. So what I'm building right now is a bracket that's going to sit on the front, that's going to allow the plastic brush guard from the other power wheel to sit on there, because it just looks so plain without anything. So I put this big thick steel in there and I was trying to bend it. Couldn't bend it by hand, and this is why I really took this project on, because I really have such a I have such a fascination with metalwork. I really enjoy, for the most part, doing it. So this is what I learned. So I learned that I can't bend this just on my vise, but if I put a slot and I cut halfway down through there, I can put this in the vise and I can actually then bend it. So I'm picking up some little tricks along the way, learning a lot through this project. Honestly, when it comes to this race, I don't really plan on winning. I just hope that I can compete and not look stupid. Like I said, I just took this project on because I think it's going to be fun. And I think I'm learning a lot, stressing out probably more than I should. So now I've pulled the old sprocket off, got the new sprocket. As you can see, much bigger, and surprisingly it looks like I actually measured and bought the right one. So I got to put this back onto this hub with these splines so I can put it back on the axle and see if I can get this thing to actually do what I want it to do. So the new sprocket is installed. Everything is just temporary based in. If this sprocket didn't solve my problem, I don't know what else to do. But we're going to see if she will move the way she should. So the chain popped off and the clutch is still starting to smoke. So I just took it for its first test drive. And I actually was able to, I had to reattach the chain, and then I was actually able to go very slow off the line. Did start to get up to speed, but I didn't have the throttle hooked up right, and the chain flew right off. Looking down at it right now, I can see that the chain is kinked over. I need to move the motor that way, probably ½ inch or so. Not a huge deal on that. I should be able to do that. And I need to figure out a new chain tensioner, because that, my idea, is not working. Other than that though, I do think I might be sitting a little high, so I can adjust that. I don't think I'm going to win. If I can't get this thing to get faster off the line, I don't think I'm going to win. But I think I'm asking a lot out of this little clutch. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to make the adjustments that I got to make, and then we'll see from there.